You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
We just had a before-air conversation about how we need to start getting on spring training planning, which is a good sign. It's a good sign.
It's a good sign, and also a sign of just how unprepared we are for spring training. If you think like the second the season ends, we go into Grapefruit League and Cactus League planning mode, that is not the case. But
we go into let's think about as little as possible until after the holidays.
Yes.
And then the holidays hit and you're like, we don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
and then you're like, oh wait, yeah,
no, we do. We definitely do. Like I wrote this week something in a piece, and I was like, pitchers and catchers have to report in 5 weeks, less than that in some places. I saw some, not all dates are out there yet, but like pitchers and catchers for some places are February 12th, which is a month and 3 days away.
Birthday.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. Yep. That is crazy. Mm-hmm. So I guess we should probably get on that. So with that, welcome in this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com, episode number 191. He's Sam Dykstra. My name is Tyler Maughan. As always, we will have some solid spring training coverage for you coming up in March. But yeah, we finally had that discussion this morning, and now it feels like, all right, now it's kind of real. Josh Jackson and I think Josh and I are going to be tag teaming Cactus League again. Josh said there was a chance that maybe he was going to have to go to the offices in New York, and so we're still trying to nail down everything for Arizona. I'm still planning on being in Arizona. You're going to be in Florida, so we're going to have on-the-ground coverage as always.
Yeah, as somebody who is in New York, I want Josh Jackson in Arizona.
Yeah. Especially like, I mean, it's March, like it won't be brutal, but if you got the chance.
For sure. Yeah. No, I like it when you guys kind of tag team up the Cactus League and split things up. And
Same. Thanks.
I'm on the lonely trail in the Sunshine State.
Josh, listening, maybe?
Hopefully. Josh always listens.
Listen up. Listen up, Josh. So let's get started on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You can find us at MILB.com/podcast. We're on Google Play, we're on Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you get your shows. And leave us a rating and a review and subscribe wherever you found us. And you can get in touch as well, podcast at MILB.com. And we'll kick it off. Prospect projections already here for the start to the 2019 season from one Sam Dykstra. And Sam has kicked things off a 6-part Toolshed series, an annual column based on the Fangraph Steamer 600 projections to look at how prospects would fare in the big leagues over a full major league season. American League East and National League East are out. The thing that is most insane in these first couple of columns, this is a quote. According to Steamer, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. received the same amount of plate appearances as everyone else in baseball, he would be the game's 7th most valuable position player right away. That is incredible. Take us through the American League East projections first.
So let's kind of set the table on how these work. Steamer 600 is not a projection system that I came up with by any means. It's something that Fangraphs has. You can go on Fangraphs, play around with it yourself. The reason why we use Steamer 600 for these prospect projections pieces is what I like about them is that it puts everybody on the same plane. Kind of Tyler already alluded to that. Everybody's getting the same amount of plate appearances. Everybody's getting the same amount of innings pitched. If they're a starting pitcher, if they're a reliever, they're getting the same amount. So if you're a position player, you're getting 600 plate appearances. If you're a catcher, you're getting 450 plate appearances. Starting pitchers get 200 innings. Relievers get 65 innings. Basically, what it does is it takes out trying to figure out playing time instead of saying like, well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is probably coming up in late April, so we'll say he's going to get 510 plate appearances. Just give everybody the same and see how they're going to do from there. According to past performance in the minor leagues, according to age, according to level, all that kind of fun stuff. And then, so everybody's on the same plane. You do that, and Vlad Jr. really sticks out. I mean, part of me wanted to write this AL East column about somebody else because I'm sure you're thinking this at home. You know, we bring him up, if not every week, once every 2 weeks, because he's always making news, and I get that. But in terms of what I like about this column as well is it's literally us turning the page. Now we're looking forward to 2019. We're no longer talking about 2018 and Vlad Jr., flirting with 400 and probably should have been up in the second half. Now we're talking about what will he do in 2019. And it's no longer just like, well, he's got 80 hit tool, potential 70 power tool, maybe even an 80 power tool. I wonder what that could look like. Here's some kind of hard data. Here's some projections. I get that they're not, perfect by any means. But projections almost by nature are usually conservative. I mean, guys coming up to the major leagues, that jump is huge. It's really hard. It's not easy. And projection systems usually kind of take the conservative end of the curve here. So even taking that into mind, the fact that Steamer 600 says if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. played a full season of Major League Baseball, he would be worth 5.1 WAR right out of the gate. That's without a little extra seasoning at AAA. That's including some time of trying to figure out Major League pitching. He would be worth 5.1 WAR around that area for him. And these are all third basemen, which is fascinating. Chris Bryant is 5.3. That's his Steamer 600 projection. Anthony Rendon is 5.1. Alex Bregman is 4.9. These are the best third basemen in the game. Jose Ramirez is 5.4, so he's kind of a little bit further up there. But these are the best third basemen in the game. And Vlad Jr. is comfortably sitting right in the middle there. Manny Machado.
Nolan Arenado is nowhere on this list, so it's a biased anti-Coors.
Well, obviously, yes, because
just so you
right.
all know.
Everything is anti-Colorado and everything I write.
Chris Bryant, who plays half of his games in left field, he's there. Nolan's not.
Okay.
Anyway, please continue.
Manny Machado.
No, Steamer's a good system.
No, it's fine. I get it. One thing I will note is that I'm talking about WAR here. WAR by nature takes into account base running. It takes into account fielding. But Steamer 600 minor league defensive data, at least when it comes to like defensive run saved, ultimate zone rating, things like that, it's really tough to get for the minor leagues. So normally when they're projecting minor leaguers, guys without any major league experience, it just gives them kind of a fielding rating of 0. It's base, it's neutral, it's not plus, it's not minus. And that can kind of help out Vlad Jr. here. What we know about his scouting profile is that he's not fully formed at third base. He could probably actually be a negative defender there. Maybe we take off a third of a win because of that. Maybe we're talking about 4.8. But that still moves him down to like Alex Bregman level because his hitting tool is that good. According to WRC Plus, and I quoted WRC Plus for a different guy over the weekend. I had people tweeting at me. I guess everybody doesn't know what that is. Basically, WRC Plus is a tool where it boils everything about offensive performance down. And I'm talking about offensive performance at the plate. I'm not talking base running. What are your average, your OBP, your slugging. OPS, we usually think about doing that, but what WRC Plus does is it looks at what is the average. So average is 100. That's league average. Anything above that is above average. Obviously, anything below that is below average. So Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s WRC Plus is 138. That's his projected WRC Plus. That's right even with Chris Bryant. That's above Manny Machado at 135. And how much have we talked about Manny Machado this offseason as being one of the best overall performers in the game? Steamer thinks he would be a better hitter than Manny Machado right away, which is fascinating to me. So, when we think about what the AL Rookie of the Year discussion is going to look like next year, anecdotally, we've always said it's Vlad Jr. and then the field. Although the one person who tweeted at me trying to say, I think you'll find that Eloy Jimenez is also very good, and I do mention Eloy in the piece, but he is second amongst projected WAR for position players next year, and he comes in at 3.3, almost 2 full wins below Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's amazing what Vlad Jr. could do, and if this is a conservative effort or conservative estimate, it's not within the realm of it should be within the realm of our imagination to think he could be a 7-win player next year, which would make him, one of the best rookies in recent memory. And what he can do from there will be fascinating. So, this is one of my favorite pieces every year. The fact that we started out in the AL East and with Vlad Jr. Normally we start out with the AL East. We also have the NL East, which we'll talk about here in Strike 2. Kind of pure coincidence, but to start out with this type of bang is really, really cool. Just to go, further down the list, looking at other position players, no other club in the AL East has a position player rookie who is expected to have a WAR above 3, and here Vlad Jr. is above 5. So he really is in a class all his own. As much as I say it's within the realm of possibility that he could be a 7 WAR player, it's also possible he could be a 3 WAR player. I mean, there's a chance he could disappoint. He's only coming off, he's still a teenager right now. He'll be 20 for this year. There might be some bumps in the road. This is not trying to say he's going to be an all-timer right away. But if these are the expectations, this is fascinating, and I can't wait to see what happens when he does make the majors, hopefully as quickly as possible. I would love to see him on the opening day roster. That might not be reasonable given the way the CBA works these days. But if this is what we're talking about for him for a full season, I can't wait to see it happen.
By the way, how about the field rating for Fangraphs, which is the primary defensive rating and rates players relative to their average at their specific positions? Mike Trout has a negative 0.6 field rating and still has a WAR 2 wins above replacement better than any other player in baseball. He has a negative 0.6 field rating and an 8.4 WAR. The next best projected WAR in baseball is Mookie Betts at 6.4. I mean, I wouldn't look too much into the big league side of things, but
yeah,
that's just crazy. That's how good Mike Trout is.
Yes, that is how good Mike Trout is. And I wouldn't look too much into negative 0.6. I mean, it's basically like league average.
It's yeah, right. But you still think about oh man, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts probably somewhat comparable, and then it's no, Mookie Betts grossly better in this category and still massively undervalued, not undervalued, but not of the same value as Mike Trout. Which is just how good Mike Trout is. Mike Trout's nuts. Strike 2, National League East, as Sam noted. Take it away.
Yeah, so the thing that stands out to me in the NL East, there's lots of things, actually. This is a fascinating division. I could have chosen multiple ways to lead this column with. I could have gone with Peter Alonso. Peter Alonso is kind of the NL East version of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Probably should have been up at the second half of last year. Wasn't. So now we're facing questions of when will he be up this spring. Didn't go that route. Could have gone the Atlanta Braves route. I feel like I've written tons about that in terms of how deep their pitching is. And they have a lot of major league ready arms, as they showed down the stretch, between Luis Gohara and, Colby Allard, and Mike Soroka was up even before that. Going down the list, Kyle Wright got called up. Touki Toussaint could be their number 5 starter out of the gate this year. Lots to like in that system as well. Could have led there. But I think one of the biggest questions about this offseason in general, minor league baseball, major league baseball, what have you, is where will Bryce Harper sign? We're still going through the Bryce Harper saga, as I called it in the piece. It's January 9th. He still hasn't signed. Hopefully it's because he's out there recruiting offers that he hasn't found one that he likes yet. Hopefully the team gets him a large contract that he's richly deserved over his 7 major league seasons. But what are the ripple effects for that for minor league baseball, specifically when it comes to prospects? If Harper leaves, somebody has to fill that void. Do the Nationals go out and try to sign another outfielder? Well, what I kind of found by this, and what I already knew, this is kind of confirming something I already thought ahead of time, is the Nationals are almost uniquely ready to replace Harper. Yes, there are rumors out there that they offered him 10 years, $300 million before he technically hit free agency. And maybe that offer has even been upped a little bit as they really want to keep him in town. Perfectly fine. If you've really gotten to know a player, you really got to like that player. He's, helped you get to division titles and to the playoffs in the past, and you want to bring him back, that's great. Should he leave, should he go to somewhere like the Dodgers, the White Sox, the Phillies, some of these other teams that are been rumored to be tied with him, who kind of fills that void is Victor Robles, who's right now MLB.com's number 4 overall prospect. Somebody we really liked coming into the year, but then unfortunately, I think it was the 4th game of the year, had a hyperextended left elbow. He was diving for a ball in center field. Unfortunately, didn't make the catch because he landed on his elbow, out for 3 months, kind of pushed back his timeline. But even before that, he made his major league debut in 2017 when the Nats kind of used him as a pinch runner / outfield specialist. You brought him up again last year in September to kind of get some same looks in that way. And Steamer really likes Victor Robles as a rookie right now. If you go to that NL East piece, I kind of compare him to rookie eligible outfielders and where he ranks in there. As of right now, according to WAR projections, he would be third amongst rookie eligible outfielders behind Jimenez, who I mentioned last time, and Brandon Lau, the Rays prospect, who is kind of a second baseman / outfielder. I included him because Steamer gave him an outfielder projection, so I wanted to include him here. But Robles, if you are going to fill Bryce Harper's role with an outfield prospect, you're not going to do much better than Victor Robles. That 2.2 WAR comes with a 101 WRC plus, so Steamer thinks he'd be league average right away, which is pretty good for what we think he can do. But what he can also do really well, and where he gets the highest grades on his scouting report, are through fielding. He's got a plus glove. He's got a plus arm. He's incredibly fast. Might be the fastest player the Nationals have in the majors or minors. So he's going to bring to you base running. He's going to catch tons of balls in center field. You kind of slide over Adam Eaton to right field. You've already got Juan Soto on left. That's a pretty good outfield right away. And looking at where Robles would fit again, his WAR projection is 2.2. Eaton's is 2.4. Soto's is 4.2. In terms of outfields, that's pretty well established. He'd be better right away than Howie Kendrick in the outfield. He'd be better right away than Michael A. Taylor, who doesn't bring much with the bat but brings a lot with the glove. If the Nats are to lose Harper, they won't skip too many beats, and I kind of hope they put that money elsewhere. They've already done a little bit of that with signing Patrick Corbin this offseason. In terms of losing a generational talent, I would love to see what Victor Robles can do over a full season now that he's fully healthy. I think that bat, as he matures, will be a little bit better than league average for sure. I think he has a chance to grow into pop and kind of surprise some people in that way. It's not that I don't want Harper to sign in D.C., but I do want to see what Robles can do with a full-time role. Maybe if the Nats do re-sign Harper, they kind of use Robles as a chip to kind of get some other, fill some other hole. We know they have a big one right now at second base. Maybe they try to go after, a trade partner instead of a free agent and use Robles as something like that. That would be really interesting. Maybe they use him in a trade for JT Realmuto, who we know they've been tied to in the past. We'll see. But Robles is ready. I would love to see what he can do when, his full set of tools in the major league, April through September, but no matter what, he'll be competing for a major league spot come this spring.
And strike three this week, the spring training deadline for nerdy sports writers to figure out their trips is approaching as well, which means that there are also spring training invitations rolling in for the people who make an impact in baseball. Top prospects being invited to spring trainings, big league spring trainings across the Major League Baseball map. Sam, when you look at obvious prospects who are going to be there, there's a whole lot of those. We know what Vlad Guerrero Jr. is. The spotlight is going to be on him in spring training, and Fernando Tatis Jr. and some of these other guys. If you were looking at somebody who is somewhat under the radar, a non-obvious prospect that you would want to see in big league camp this year, who would it be?
Yeah, so we kind of kicked this off, I think, over the weekend. The Pirates extended some, non-roster spring invites, and one of them was Ke'Bryan Hayes, who I think we all expected. But that'll be really cool. I'm excited to see him because he's somebody I think can really stand out in terms of what do you do in spring training. It's a lot of fielding work. It's a lot of cage work. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think he really does stand out in those areas, especially over at third base.
Gold Glove.
Yeah, everybody expects him.
Number 2 prospect in that
Right.
system.
Everybody expects him to be Gold Glove capable at third base, which is fascinating. So wouldn't be surprised if he impresses a lot of folks. The guy I want to mention, though, is technically a top 100 prospect. So a lot of you have probably heard about him. But that's number 83 overall prospect, Luis Patino, in the San Diego Padres system. The reason I bring him up, he's coming off his age 18 season, performed incredibly well at Class A Fort Wayne, was kind of one of the breakout prospects alongside Chris Paddock in the Padres system last year. Age 18 season, put up a 2.16 ERA at Class A Fort Wayne, 98 strikeouts, 24 walks, and 83 and a third innings. Kind of got cut off of those 83 and a third innings because, again, first full season, don't want to push him too hard. And maybe they don't want to do that this spring either. But what stood out to me at the winter meetings is I sat in on Padres manager Andy Green's kind of mini press conference. And as you can imagine, a lot of that discussion was about Fernando Tatis Jr., Luis Urias, Francisco Mejia, a lot of the prospects. And at some point he was asked, what do you see in these guys? What do you see in the younger generation coming up? And he was talking about Paddock for a while and how hard he works. And then he started listing off some names. He said Mackenzie Gore, and everything I hear about Luis Patino has been fantastic. And actually, you know what? I'm going to stop there because once you start listing names, you're going to forget some. In so doing, I will say the fact that Patino made it before the cutoff is fascinating to me. That tells me Green has really liked either the reports or the actual video he's seen out of Patino. The reports I've heard are, the fastball is fantastic. The slider has a chance to be a real plus pitch. The curveball could be above average once he makes it more consistent. He's got some work to do on the changeup. But the Padres are kind of in a moment right now where they want everybody to see the young talent. They know they're kind of on the cusp of this. I wanted to see them take stock of everybody they have. Patino kind of fits in that. Even if he's 2-3 years away, even if he doesn't get a non-roster invite, I would still love to see him get a couple innings, see what his stuff can do against the AA, AAA guys who are playing the 7th inning over there in the Cactus League. Kind of solidify what's already in Green's mind about how well he can do right now and how hard of a worker he is. So that would be really cool to me. See what he can do, how he can start his age 19 season. Will it happen? This isn't any inside info, but if Andy Green likes him as much as he mentioned there in Vegas, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets at least a couple looks at big league camp this spring.
I got a top 100 guy too, and I don't know if this is a non-obvious one because it's too much in my wheelhouse. So outside, maybe it is non-obvious. To me, it's somewhat obvious. But the Colorado Rockies are at a crossroads with Nolan Arenado possibly leaving after this year. Colton Welker last year, who is the number 94 ranked prospect in baseball right now, number 2 in the Rocky system. He's a third baseman. He's a guy who the Rockies have some pretty high hopes for, but was just a Class A advance last year. I think it'd be really interesting to see him in Major League camp this year, especially with the looming prospect that you could see the departure of a franchise luminary at that position. I don't think we'll see him in the major leagues this year, but if it's a case where you think this is somebody that we might be relying on in 2020, might as well get him in there. Plus, I think the dynamic there, the energy there between a guy who may be weighing his options of leaving and the guy who may be his heir apparent would be fascinating to me. So that's one that stuck out of my mind for 2019.
Yeah, and a lot of these will be coming out in the weeks to come. Sure. Yeah, if not, days to come, a lot of these. So check the site. Whenever a top 100 prospect gets a non-roster invite, we'll have something on the site. So if Patino gets it, if Welker gets it, you'll hear about it from us in the coming days and weeks.
And that's 3 strikes for this week's episode of The Show Before the Show.
Hey everybody, just wanted to jump in here real quick. Some news broke after we recorded the podcast on Wednesday. This came from the San Francisco Chronicle and the great Susan Slusser, A's beat reporter. News broke that the Oakland Athletics are expecting their 4th-ranked prospect, Kyler Murray, to declare for the NFL draft this weekend. It's been reported in the past that the talented quarterback / outfielder out of Oklahoma was basically going to choose one or the other. He was either going to be a baseball player or a football player. If he declares for the NFL draft, it's pretty clear that he would, choose the gridiron over the diamond. For us here in the baseball community, that's a little bit upsetting to lose such a talent. Kyler Murray was drafted 9th overall last year's draft. He signed a $4.66 million signing bonus to make that work. If he does end up choosing football and puts baseball aside, there are ways that the A's could kind of claw some of that money back. But, this is a kind of the best of Kyler Murray's world in a way. And before we get down on him for not choosing baseball, this is a kid who had a chance to be a star in 2 different sports. And, when he got drafted last year in baseball, probably didn't envision being a Heisman-winning quarterback this year in Oklahoma. Ends up doing that. Can we really blame him for, after being the best college player in the sport this fall, trying to make it professionally in that way? Does this hurt the A's? Yeah, I mean, they lose their 4th-ranked prospect. They lose a first-round pick, or at least they lose a pick they've already made. It's upsetting in that way, but as we all know, baseball drafts are not the same as, say, a basketball draft or a football draft, where if you don't hit on a top 10 pick, that could have big repercussions for 5-10 years down the line. Essentially, the way this works is, it's almost like making a big pick and seeing him flounder in the minors. You just don't get to see the major league product of that. It kind of is what it is. It would have been great to see what Kyler Murray could do on the field, at least the baseball field anyway. Very toolsy potential outfielder. That's why he was drafted so high. The A's knew what they were getting themselves into when they took him at this spot last year. Just doesn't work out. Who knows? There might be some more twists and turns in this story, but if the A's are preparing for him to declare for the NFL draft, probably not a good sign for his baseball future. We'll be keeping an eye on this, seeing how things kind of become official and all that. But wanted to address that. News broke after we recorded 3 Strikes yesterday, Wednesday. So wanted to address that this morning. So that's been a foul ball, and now we're going to turn to this week's interview with number 4 Dodgers prospect and number 82 overall prospect in the game, according to MLB.com, Gavin Lux. We had a great conversation about his past playing in Wisconsin, his breakout 2018, what he did to kind of change things and improve himself after kind of a down 2017, and how he sees himself fitting in a Dodgers organization that is always trying to compete at the major league level, making it sometimes hard for prospects to break through. So here's my interview with Gavin Lux. Joining us this week on the Show Before the Show podcast, the Minor League Baseball podcast, is number 4 Dodgers prospect and number 82 overall prospect, according to MLB.com, Gavin Lux, who is joining us from the city of his parent club at Los Angeles. Gavin, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for taking the time. So, like I just said, you are currently in LA. You just flew out there yesterday. What brings you out there right now, at this point in the off season?
Yeah, me and a couple other prospects are working a kids camp it's actually at the stadium. So we're working that and then doing like a strength camp, kind of mini camp type deal. And then just kind of doing stuff around LA and kind of getting familiar with the city, I guess. So it's a pretty good experience, and it's fun being with other guys too,
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Based on your experience so far in LA, what is your favorite part of Southern California or LA specifically?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. There's like so many good restaurants, I guess. It's like, every night you could go get a different food spot and it'll be really good. That, and then, the weather's perfect, especially where I'm from, and then coming here, it's like night and day. So I definitely enjoy the weather.
Yeah, we should mention that you are from Wisconsin, and we'll get to questions about that in a little bit. But, kind of staying in the present here, where are you right now in your off-season prep? I know, you said there's some strength training that you'll be doing over there in LA. But at this point, early January, spring training's coming up next month, reporting dates for major leaguers. Where are you as you kind of ramp up for 2019?
Yeah, I think I'm getting anxious and getting ready to go here. I'm pretty much, all in for my workouts right now. And so basically I'm just hitting and doing some defense work and trying to maintain that strength and then gain some weight as we're going into the season. But right now I'm kind of full swing and kind of all in on everything right now. So definitely getting anxious.
Yeah, no, I bet. I think that's true of everybody listening, and certainly us. We were talking earlier about planning spring training and how trying to get ahead of it. So I think everybody can kind of feel it coming around the corner. Where are you right now in terms of like your mental state, where you are now compared to where you were January last year? Because you're coming off a really strong year between Rancho Cucamonga and Tulsa, hitting 324 both spots. Your OPS was above 900. In 2017, it was a much more different year for you. You hit 244 with an OPS below 700. What was it like this time last year, coming off the season you did in 2017, and kind of compare that to where you feel you are now, coming off a strong 2018?
Yeah, I think honestly I'm having a similar mindset, and I kind of kept the same routine pretty much. Didn't really change a thing as far as that goes. All the stuff I did last year, I'm doing the same stuff this year, working out at the same place at the same time, hitting with the same guys, doing defense work with the same guys. So really, like, my mindset was like, well, if it worked last year, why change it and then try to switch something up? So I'm really keeping everything pretty much the same as I did last year, and that's really about it.
So kind of flip of that question then is, what were you doing differently last offseason? I mean, the one before that, you were preparing for your first full season. You might not know what it's like to play 100-plus games. Obviously, last offseason, you knew what that was like. So what were you doing differently? Some of the stuff I've read is that at least the Dodgers felt like you bulked up going into 2018. How much of your focus was on that going into your second full campaign?
Yeah, no, like you said, you don't really know what to expect out of that first full season until you kind of go through it. I felt like I kind of wore down right around the All-Star break my first year, so I kind of just I tried to put on as much weight and strength as possible, and then I felt like my first full season I kind of fell into a trap of always trying to change my swing or make an adjustment, that's not needed just because I wasn't doing well. And, I never really found like that comfort level with my swing my first full season. And last year I just kind of told myself, like, you can make little adjustments here and there, but we're going to stick to kind of this pretty much same swing. We're not going to toy with too much or mess with too much. And just kind of that consistency, I think, helped a lot.
So along those lines, what do you feel like was the hitting setup that you found comfortable and that you decided, this is it, this is not what I'm going to tinker anymore with?
Yeah, I think just literally getting in an athletic setup. And then just there was a lot of my bat pass stuff I worked on. Just trying to get on plane with the pitch, and trying to honestly hit the ball in the air more. That, and then kind of loading in my back hip more, and trying to load that up and then get more power out of that. And I think those three things helped me a lot. I never had that feeling of really getting into my back hip before, and as soon as I kind of figured that out and got that feeling, it was like a totally different feel.
Yeah, so when do you feel like things really unlocked for you last year? How early in the season did it feel like this could be kind of a special year for you?
I actually started the season 0 for 21, and I was like, oh, no.
Not then,
No. But it was like probably like our fourth or fifth series. I started to hit a lot better. And then from there, like our hitting coach, Justin Veely, was awesome. And then always, if something felt wrong, we'd go on video and, make that little adjustment, and he was awesome too. But yeah, I would say like the fourth or fifth series where I finally felt locked in.
Yeah, and kind of going to the other side then, if that's how the season started for you, it certainly ended on a much stronger note. You had a really strong Texas League playoffs after getting called up to Tulsa, hitting 2 homers in 8 games. You hit 424 in those 8 games. And the Drillers themselves swept the Texas League Finals, beating San Antonio, which was a strong San Antonio team, 3-0. What was it like ending the season on that note? Obviously, everybody wants to be raising a trophy and holding up a banner, but what does that do for your offseason when the last thing you did on an official minor league field is, sweep your league finals?
Yeah, no, I think, everyone, that's like you said, everyone wants to end the note on the season on a high note. And yeah, like that team, there were so many good dudes and so many good teammates and obviously the coaching staff. So, I mean, it was super cool to be able to join them in August and, try to help them win that championship. But, yeah, no, it was awesome, man. Like, that was one of the better, more fun baseball experiences of my life for sure.
And not only did Tulsa sweep, but Rancho Cucamonga swept as well. Obviously, you're not on the team at that point, but how much do you get to celebrate with that team afterwards? And, how much were you following along for their Cal League run? And, how much even more pride do you take out of something like that, knowing the 2 teams you played on this year both get rings at the end of the year?
Yeah, no, I was following along, as long as we weren't playing, I had it pulled up on my phone. And quite a few guys in Tulsa too, also played in Rancho. So it was pretty cool watching the updates. But yeah, like you said, I mean, both the teams are full of great dudes, and obviously they both won championships. So it's just saying something about the organization, I think, too, considering all our stateside teams were in playoffs also. So yeah, I think it was a fun year, and obviously a lot of winning happened. So it was definitely fun.
And when you say that says something about the organization, what is it about the Dodgers' philosophy or anything you've noticed, now that you've been in the system for 3 years? What do you feel like the Dodgers do to kind of help facilitate these winning teams in the minor leagues? Because, to the fan at home, normally they just care about prospect development, and you guys are with the team every day. You guys want to be winning. What do you notice about what the Dodgers are doing that helps you guys, get to this point at the end of the year where, like you said, so many teams are making the playoffs up and down the ladder?
I think it's like it's a lot of culture. Like, you kind of build a winning culture. It's as long as it's in. It could be on the field, it could be in the clubhouse, or off the field. I think, they kind of instill that in us of, like, building a culture and a winning culture as you move up. I think that's, one of the biggest things. I know everyone always thinks minor league baseball, it's not about winning or anything like that, which when, like you said, when we're playing every day, like, we don't want to go out there and lose. Like, we want to win. So, yeah, I think it's just building a winning culture and being a good teammate, and I think that goes a long way. So,
and along those same lines, what's the trickle-down effect of playing in an organization like the Dodgers? Obviously, recent times, consistently winning the NL West last year, making the World Series. They're consistently striving to be a good major league club. But when you're a prospect coming through and they're doing so many improvements on the major league side, what's that like compared to, maybe somebody you've talked to in a rebuilding organization in which they're always trying to lean on young talent? I know Alex Verdugo is somebody like that who I think a lot of people think is major league ready, but has struggled to find a spot in LA. What kind of trickle down effect do you guys kind of see in terms of the major league team always being competitive and what that does for you guys as prospects?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's super competitive. You definitely got to earn it. And it definitely goes all the way down to the organization. Like, there's dudes at every level. There's, spring training, instructs, fall league, like, all that is super competitive with just guys in our own organization. So it's good. You want to be on a team, our major league team that's winning too. It's good for that. So like you said, you definitely want to win at the big league level too. So it's just super competitive. So it's I think it's good, and it's good for development too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in terms of where you are going to fit in this organization someday, you were drafted as a shortstop, mostly played shortstop last year, but actually got in a couple games at second base as well during your time at Rancho. How much has the organization talked to you about defensive versatility going forward? And if you had to pick, where would you kind of hope your defensive home would be?
Yes, I mean, I think obviously my first love would be shortstop. I always grew up playing there. But at the end of the day, the more positions you can play, the better. So whether that's second base or the outfield, I think wherever it is, as long as I get some at bats and get to hit, I would like to stay in the infield. But like you said, you can't hurt playing more positions.
And what conversations have the Dodgers had with you about preparing for multiple positions in 2019, or have you guys even talked about that coming out of last season?
A little bit. From what I know is I'll keep playing short. I think until I prove I can't play it or I can play it, but there hasn't been too much conversation about it.
All right, fair enough. Well, we teased this a little bit up front at the interview, but you are from Wisconsin. I believe in 2016 you were the first Wisconsin player taken in the first round since 1979. And then this last June, Jared Kelenic followed up with the Mets as also a first-round pick. Do you think there's anything to that about Wisconsin baseball getting noticed in these last couple of years? Is it just you two guys were hyper-talented at the same time? I know I've read some stories about you guys being fairly close and working out together. But what does this say about the state of Wisconsin baseball, you think, the way you guys were drafted 2016 and 2018?
I think it's definitely getting better. I think now there's more facilities, indoor facilities, where in the winter, if you can't get outside, it gives you a better chance to still be able to develop. As far as like the place where I work out at, hitters in Wisconsin, it's got a full indoor field, so you can do everything you need inside. So there's not that. I mean, there's still obviously a little disadvantage, but it's you definitely have a better chance to develop than if you're just sitting in a cage all day. You can actually get outside indoors on a field and still be able to get that work in. But yeah, I think the facilities are catching up, and guys I think are just getting better overall and working harder, and I think guys from Wisconsin kind of play with a chip on their shoulders. So I definitely think it's not just an anomaly. I think guys are definitely getting better.
Yeah, and when you were going through the draft process in 2016, do you feel like you played with a chip on your shoulder when scouts were coming out and you knew you had to prove yourself a little bit more? I'm sure because of limited looks in the spring between weather and all that. How did you approach being from a cold weather state and still having to prove yourself going into what was a big draft for you?
Yeah, I think I definitely had to play with a chip on my shoulder. Everyone always says, "Oh, you're a cold weather shortstop." Like, come on, there's no way. But you know what I mean? But yeah, I think I definitely did. And obviously the weather, doesn't help, getting looked at when it's, 25 and snowing some days, But yeah, I think, everyone plays with a chip on their shoulder, and I think I did too. And, there's always just that stigma that cold weather guys aren't as good as warmer guys. So I think, that kind of made me mad a little bit. So I kind of played mad.
I bet. No, it obviously worked out for you. All right, well, two more and then we'll let you go. Looking forward to 2019, like you said, you're gearing up now. You're kind of itching to get out there. They're sending you to LA. It's starting to feel a little bit more real. But, coming off Double-A, the way minor leagues usually go, once you hit Double-A, major leagues are usually within reach. How close do you feel now? When you look forward to 2019 or maybe 2020, how close do the major leagues really feel to you right now?
It definitely feels closer than where it has in the past. I think I still have a lot of work to do, and I still a lot of things I need to get better on. So I think, there's a vision in the tunnel that looks a little closer, but, just kind of the way I am is I still got a lot of work to do. So, yeah, like it looks closer than it did the past 2 years, but yeah, definitely still some work.
All right, well, we'll end on this one. For anybody who doesn't know, Gavin's Twitter account is @TheRealGavinLux, which is very easy to find and confirm that it's actually you. Not only that, but you do have the blue check mark, so congrats on that. But what I wanted to ask you about was your Twitter cover photo is Michael Jordan in a White Sox uniform talking to Barry Bonds in a Giants uniform, which is very cool. Two, obviously goats of their respective sports. But now's your time to say it. You are officially a Double-A hitter now. Are you a better Double-A hitter than Michael Jordan?
Dude, I can't disrespect Michael Jordan like that. I plead the fifth.
Come on. This is your one chance. Like, you legitimately were. We could quote still.
Okay. I think I got Michael Jordan hitting, but I think he might be just a hair better than me in basketball.
Right. The only time you're going to take him one-on-one is in the batting cage, right? We'll do it that way.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think basketball, I don't have a chance.
Okay. Well, yeah. Take some confidence in your own game that you were better than Michael Jordan at baseball, for sure. All right, Gavin, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy all the warm weather and your time in L.A. and the last couple weeks before spring training. Thanks again for joining us and taking the time.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Benjamin Hill for this week's conversation about all things business of minor league baseball. We previewed a series going into the offseason that is coming up. It's actually on the site today. If you're listening to this, we're recording on Wednesday, so if you're listening to it on Thursday, it's up right now. First of all, hello, Ben.
Hello, Tyler, and hello, Sam Dykstra, sitting to my right.
Right. Today.
Correct.
The making of a promo series. You kind of went into the inner workings of how promotion gets put together with the Charleston River Dogs. And we talked about this coming into the offseason of what the series could look like. But now that it's coming here, take us through how it's gone so far putting this together and what's the first installment?
Well, it's an interesting series. I mean, I think the idea is great, but I think like so many things in life, when you go about doing it, it turns out a little differently than you expected. The idea was, the promo seminar is in late September, early October, which is rebranding next year as the Innovators Summit. So we have to, going forward, remember to call the promo seminar the Innovators Summit. It's taking place in El Paso next year, which is the birthplace of the promo seminar. But that's neither here nor there. So this year's promo seminar, it was in Des Moines, and I talked to Nate Courant, the promotions director for the Charleston River Dogs, with the idea that maybe he'd have an idea sparked during the promo seminar, and then I'd do a series following the evolution of this idea. Problem is he had the inklings of an idea at the promo seminar that was hinted at in the first piece, which ran in October. And so the follow-up, I was thinking like, okay, you hinted at it. Let's get into more detail. And then in part 3, we'll talk about, when it's released on the details and bring in a lot more perspectives of other people in the organization who have put this promotion together. But I think as it turns out, the promotion he was talking about at the promo seminar just did not work. So, but now we were talking about new ideas, and we're going to talk about a certain idea he has and how that's formulating. And then when the team releases their promo schedule, probably next month, we'll have an in-depth piece about that promotion. But I do think it still fits the basic premise of early off-season promo seminar time, brainstorming, and then going back, checking it with your staff, seeing if you get the right permission, seeing if things are feasible, trying to loop in sales guys, make it sponsorable, trying to loop in community relations, and all the different elements that go into successful promotion. So it still fits that bill. So tomorrow is part 2 of the series. I'm talking about the evolution of their promo calendar as the off-season has progressed, and I'll follow up probably later next month with a lot more detail about how a specific promotion came about. And then I'll cover that said promotion in depth when it actually happens, maybe on location, but at the very least thoroughly from afar.
So when we're kind of in this in-between period now, we're between idea stage and announcement stage, what happens now? I mean, what is it? A lot of like legal checking, making sure you can do this? Is there communicating with other clubs to make sure either A, if they've done a promo before, how did it go? Or B, is this an original idea? We don't want to steal anything. Like, what happens in this in between time?
Well, as you know, a lot of teams are totally cool to steal ideas. It's kind of the But I think one of the reasons we picked the River Dogs and Nate, is this is a team, and he's an individual who has a reputation for doing new things. We had him and his former operations director, Phil Geary, on this podcast during the season about their Color Night promotion, throwing color packets into the crowd. They're the kind of team that does unique, crazy, experiential promotions that really don't get stolen very often because other teams are like
they don't want to call up
they don't want to clean it up. Yeah, they're like, great, you guys did that. So I'm focusing on something unique, and kind of like last week when we were talking about New Year's resolutions, and I said my resolution for teams would be to challenge themselves to have one promotion on the schedule for every team that they can say no other team has done this before. But of course, a lot of promotions do emanate from the promo seminar, in that a team says, hey, we did X, and then teams all over this ballroom where a lecture is taking place are like writing it down, like, oh, you did that, we can adapt that to our market. So there's a lot of that, but there's also teams who are always going to say, let's do something new. And of course, that's what I want to focus on the most, because I want my material to be new, covering things that have never been done before. But I think it is fun for fans to get a glimpse of really what it takes to create a promotion, in terms of, yes, there might be legal elements, sponsorship elements, just overall budget elements. As I said before, how you can loop in other departments within the staff to make it as blown out as possible. Jerseys are kind of the starting point for a lot of theme night promotions these days. So working with whoever your vendor is, often OT Sports, for the feasibility of these kind of crazy jersey ideas, and on and on and on. So fans might show up and they'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool, this team's doing this kind of goofy thing. But I don't think the average fan, and it's no fault of theirs, really thinks about, man, like how many elements had to come together just to make this goofy thing happen.
Also, don't forget, there is a standing invitation out there for the first ever The Show Before the Show podcast night at a minor league ballpark. You can get in touch, podcast at milb.com. Ben, the raft of national blank days has provided some minor league baseball related things in recent days. I think just a couple of days ago, National Bobblehead Day. National Cap Day is coming up on January 15th, and we're going to roll out some stuff on the site for that. First off, do you have a favorite of these random days?
As we learn in minor league baseball, every day is a random day. You'll just log in one day and it's like National Margarita Day, and teams are like,
and somehow
hey.
Every team knows it too. There's got to be some site that notifies people of like, it's National Cat Litter Day, and everybody's like, that's a picture of a cat at the ballpark.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
There are sites such as this, multiple, that have all these goofy, official holidays. Not that they're observed or you get time off from work. Although I challenge anyone to try to get time off from work for National Cat Litter Day, which is October 29th.
Well, National Cat Day is October 29th. But
yeah, but teams love this. One, it gives you goofy inspiration in the season to schedule a promotion around whatever national day it is, and in the off season, it gives you social media material. And I think one kind of tied into this, one blog post, been a little absent on the blog lately, but one blog post I have coming up, will be on looking on significant anniversaries for
it's one of my favorite things to do every year.
Yeah, and I always throw a few in there that teams don't do at all. No one celebrated the 40th anniversary of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors a few years ago. It was a great idea.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so it is now, when the calendar turns, it is promo release season. I actually have an email from the Potomac Nationals in my inbox, and that'll serve as my starting point to start putting together my spreadsheet of promos for the 2019 season. They have their full release out. I think they're the only team I've seen that has a full release out. But in the coming weeks and months, especially over the next 2+ months, it'll be pretty soon a daily occurrence, and a fairly big part of my job is just kind of cataloging and getting prepared for everything that's going on. So when it happens, we know about it.
National Cap Day coming up. Do you have a favorite? I get this question a million times a year. Do you have a favorite hat in minor league baseball? A little
I'm not
behind the curtain, we're going to have a blog post in which some of us from the site discuss ours, and nothing has given me more anxiety than pick out your favorite minor league hat.
Yeah, I'm not a cap guy as you are, Tyler. I mean, I enjoy a good logo, certainly, but it's not a, it's not a part of baseball fandom that I've particularly latched onto, but I like a good hat as much as anyone. I was talking to our coworker Kelsey Hennigan about this. Hennigan,
yeah.
I almost said Hennigan. I'm sorry, Kelsey. I've only known her for like 5 years. I'll get it right. And I was like, you know what hat I really like? And in a way, it's like maybe being a little hipstery or ironic, but I love Kannapolis Intimidators, like angry high heel, the anthropomorphic K. I mean, I know it's maybe not like
a high heel. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not technically a high heel, but there's something about that cap that is. Yeah, it's so bizarre, and I always gravitate towards the bizarre. And I don't know this, but the team, as we talked last week, is moving into a new stadium in 2020. Often rebrandings happen with moves to new stadiums. So I don't know what they're doing. This is not any information at all, but I wonder, could this be the last year of the Angry K? And if it is, savor it, folks, because we're not getting another one. I also love. It's iconic, but I love the Lake Elsinore eyes, just the eyes on the cap. And, living in New York City, you semi-regularly, not just New York City, but all over the country, you see people wearing these caps, completely divested of any particular loyalty to Lake Elsinore, California, or the San Diego Padres farm system, but just as a good-looking hat. And I think it's always cool when teams can do that. Of course, they want actual fans, but it's really cool to be able to sell your merchandise just because it looks cool. And teams obviously do that more and more as the years go on.
For those unaware, by the way, Kannapolis Intimidators named after Dale Earnhardt.
The Intimidator.
In case you ever wondered as to where that name came from, he was part of the original ownership group. And there's still, I don't know if there's an alternate logo that they still use, but they had an alternate logo for a while that was an eye with like a silhouetted Dale Earnhardt with his arms raised up over his head in celebration, which seems like it's kind of a weird logo crossover of a NASCAR driver as the logo for a minor league baseball team, but kind of a cool connection. Benjamin Hill, you can find on Twitter. He is at Ben's Biz. The blog is bensbiz.mlblogs.com. The Making of a Promo series first edition is up on the site right now. You can go check it out there. And thanks, Ben.
Hey, thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Sam. And I want to close with a witty remark, but I got nothing.
That's okay. I never have anything. Thanks.
Thanks.
Wrapping up episode 191 of the show before the show. There's a couple really good stories on the site right now, by the way, that you should go check out in addition to Ben's stuff, which we talked about last segment. We've got a story up on the site by Michael Avalone, our good pal, who wrote about Danny Muno, who is a prospect formerly in the Seattle Mariners organization and now is in the Seattle Mariners organization as a sales prospect. He is working as a corporate sales manager with the Tacoma Rainiers, the AAA affiliate of the Seattle Mariners. That's kind of a cool transition story in a guy's career. And Andrew Batterfrano had a great story on Clayton Schmidt, a Detroit Tigers prospect who battled cancer and is back, is healthy, and is ready to kind of take his first big step forward in his baseball career. I shouldn't say his first big step forward. 2018 was kind of his establishment as a prospect and as a guy who is ready to be an impact performer in the Detroit Tigers system. So a couple of really good stories up on the site right now, and you can check those out at milb.com. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, no, I don't have much to add to those other than Clayton Schmidt. We also had on the podcast earlier.
We did.
This offseason, so kind of pair those two together. If you read Andrew's story first, for sure, he gets to go a little bit more in depth than we do on a podcast, obviously, when it's basically a glorified Q&A, just with sound. He gets to fill in a little bit more details that we don't get to go into. But if you want to hear Clayton Schmidt tell his own story, with his own voice, pair that with the podcast. I think that would make for a great, 30 minutes for Tigers fans looking for something to, really root for in 2019. And this Danny Muno story, what I love about it too is it's a perfect mix of, a player falls in love with a minor league town. He talks in the story about, this is where I've settled with my family, and this is where I've kind of come to love, and the Rainiers found a spot for me so that we can kind of live here year round. It also tells a little bit of a story of what a life of a minor leaguer is. Sometimes these guys blow into town, they blow out of town, they've got to go home, they've got to, find other ways to make money during the off season. This is one unique opportunity, but all of these guys are trying to find something to do in the offseason to get them to spring training. So this is one specific example that I don't think you hear very often. So definitely check out Avalon's story on Danny Muno.
And that will do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. He's Sam Dykstra. I'm Tyler Maun. We'll talk to you next week.